Welcome to the shop. Today I'm going to show you the Gweike G2 fiber laser engraver. It's a new offering that they just came out with to bring the price of an actual fiber laser engraver down to a level that's more affordable for home-based businesses and smaller shops. So let's try it out. I've been using it for about 6 weeks, so I have a pretty good feel of what it does well as a few areas where it's kind of rough around the edges, and we're going to talk about all that. My main interest with this is engraving directly on metal, but let's try it out on some of these coated aluminum cards. That was fast. That is real time. We better watch it again, and you can cover a lot of ground in a hurry with this thing. So now I'm rastering over it, and it is moving quickly. Once again, at real time. I'll put a note on the screen whenever I speed up the video here, so you'll know if that's the case. But there are all sorts of different blanks like these available that you can use for craft type projects. Now these types of projects aren't my intended use for the machine. I'm more interested in engraving directly on metal with logos and scales and different functional things. But I think a lot of people who are looking at this are looking at it for a craft business, whether it's an Etsy store or making crafts for a craft fair. So I think it's good to try it out on these cards, and I'm going to try it with this picture file that is one of my thumbnails. So we can take a look at the manual here on the right and the software on the left. Now the software is like a lot of generic drawing programs with some kind of CNC capability built in. It's a little bit antiquated, and it's a little hard to find where to put the right parameters in. But once you do, it's not too bad, and it's been able to do everything that I've wanted it to do. Now this is a bit slower because it's actually dotting 500 dots every inch, and at each of those dots the intensity of the laser controls how dark it is, and it's really cool to see this image appear. And when you play the light on it here, it has just a neat effect in person. So I thought that was awesome to be able to engrave and show an image that way. Now let's try some vector work, and this is what I'll be using more often, is a vector file. And one issue I ran into is whenever I tried to use an Adobe Illustrator file, it gave me an error, which I thought it was supposed to take those, and perhaps they'll make an update and fix that in the future, but for right now that didn't work for me. However, when I put it in as an SVG, I was able to scale it and move it around, and you can add text and do some basic drawing in here as well, so it worked for that. Now using it is pretty straightforward. It shows a laser outline of where the actual image is going to go, and you can also have it use that red laser pointer to show where it is, and there's an outline. Now if you want the outline to be darker, you can run it multiple times. This right here is running over each of the letters 5 times, and at real-time speed you can see it's pretty quick. Now when you have it fill in, there are a number of different parameters that you can set up to be able to fill it in how you'd like, and then you simply run that. Right now I'm just working on plain carbon steel, and you can see that it is a very pronounced mark, and you get some depth to it, and more depth from what I understand than you'll get with a lot of the diode infrared lasers that are available. The head looks the same, but they're different. So when you finish this off, I can feel there on the edge that there is some amount of depth to the engraving, and it's gonna hold up and gonna last. Now I played with the settings a little bit, and it was neat to see that based on the different settings I can get a different appearance. So you can definitely tailor your process to the look that you want, and in fact some people actually map colors to be able to engrave different colors using this on stainless steel. So let's just run through the setup. There's a 20-watt fiber laser here in this source that runs through a fiber optic cable over to this head. And part of the reason that a fiber laser like this can go so fast is it's not moving something around on a gantry like a lot of diode lasers. It actually has a mirror up here in this head that just pivots around to be able to move that laser beam, so it can go really fast. Now this stand itself needs to be at a specific height to the work, and this one is motorized, so I can press a button and move it up and down, or I can remove the actual laser head and put it on this shield and take it over to larger objects, and that'll hold the focal length. Now some of the other accessories, there are a couple different rotaries. This is a set of rollers right here that you can put something like a water bottle or round things on. And there's also a chuck rotary that has this little spring chuck that this seems really nice right here. And I like how it has pins that you can remove from these jaws to be able to accommodate all sorts of different size objects on that. We took a look at the engraving performance on steel pretty closely a minute ago, so let's try some other materials. I'm going to put in some aluminum right here and run an outline once, and then I'll follow that up by running that outline 5 times. And you can see that it really darkens it up by running it multiple times. I think that's going to be the way that I'll use it because the actual performance for the time is pretty good. But you can also raster and fill it in, and that works just fine too. And as I'm watching this, it's pretty interesting how you get some material that flakes off. I don't know if that is the surface oxide layer that is getting etched away there, and then it'll form again, obviously. But you get a really pronounced mark here on aluminum, and that worked quite well also. Now let's try some stainless steel, and I'll do the same thing, just a basic outline, and it's visible, but it gets quite a bit more pronounced after running over it the 5 times. Now I tried different amounts to run over the actual part, and it seems like beyond 5 you don't really get any benefit. So that's where I ended up. But it filled in pretty nicely. Here on titanium, I accidentally left the setting set to run over everything 10 times. And so it's going to make a really, really deep mark in this. And it looks pretty cool, but it probably takes a little bit too long for my patience. So we'll just see how it looks after running over it once. And once again, not a bad result at all. So if you look at all of these, I mean, it's certainly capable on each different material. Now, one of the interesting things is with the wavelength of light, I mean, this is a specialized tool for metals. I have this turned up to 100% power running right here on wood, and it doesn't even phase it. It has no effect with that wavelength of light. Here, I'm running it again, and this time I just put some stainless steel over top of it, and you can see without any changes to settings or anything, it comes out. I was curious what would happen on plastics, and so I threw my headphones case on there, and it worked pretty good. And from what I understand, you can use it on leather and slate and some other materials like that. Now the overall quality of construction and design is pretty good. I like how it has the whole grid pattern of holes here, has a removable plate that you can actually pull out if you want to have an open space in the bottom to use it on larger objects with the stand. Everything's anodized. The hardware fit and finish seems to be pretty good. I only have one gripe about it, and that is that this head can move around just a little bit. And that's because, at least from what I can tell, the actual guide rails inside here are really small. They're around 1/4 inch or 6 millimeter. And so they are able to deflect. So this could theoretically vibrate. That being said, it hasn't posed a problem for me in any of the testing I've done because I basically leave it alone on the table while it's running. Now, quick test of the rotary. Here I just took some scrap round tubing that I had, and it's rolling on these rollers there. Now it does it in segments, and I found the smaller the segment, the better the quality, and it came out pretty good. So I figured, why not? Let me try my water bottle here and put a logo on it. What's gonna get hurt? And I need to mess with the settings a little bit on this one, but overall it's definitely capable. Now I am trying the chuck rotary on this piece of aluminum. A lot of people use these, from what I understand, for engraving rings and things, and it seems like it'd be just fine for that sort of thing. Now, quick test of this little handheld attachment. It works really well as well, just like you'd expect. All right, well, that's the Gweike G2. Now the head right here looks similar to a lot of the infrared lasers that you'll see out there. But this being an actual fiber laser, they run faster, they have a longer lifespan, and you get a deeper engrave. So there is a difference, and I think that getting the actual fiber laser is worthwhile. Now this particular model seemed to work really well. It did everything I asked it to. My only gripes were the software is a little bit clunky, seems kind of antiquated. Also, the movement on the head here, I really would like to see that be a little bit tighter. Other than that, I was pretty happy with the performance, especially for the price on a fiber laser like this. Well, if you learned something or enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up below or leaving me a comment, and we'll see you next time.